everybody, and welcome to Gettin Biggie with it. Hope everyone out there is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You may have noticed that your usual hosts are not on this podcast today. Even though Carrie and Danny have been doing a great job on this podcast for over a year now,
Yeah.
um, due to I guess recent events in the beautiful country of America, um, we thought it may be good to just hear from some of the black improvisers of Big and how they are feeling in this time, because now while although we are improvisers, we are a family in a lot of ways.
Mm.
And I think it's just as important if you hear about uh people's quirks on stage. I think it's important to hear about their feelings at a time like this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the thing with improv, right? There's so many joys and magic about improv, and one of those things are uh how much doing improv with people creates a family-like atmosphere because so much trust is involved, so much um, uh, support is involved. So sort of when something like this occurs and it impacts profoundly the people of the community, I feel like
Yeah.
it's almost double because of there's that special connection in improv that you get by jumping off a cliff with people, and um, this is a time for discussion and for support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll ask you because I know you just got back from well, right, you were coaching. Well, you're still coaching teams right now,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, and so I imagine that there's kind of a disconnect already because you're on the screen, not face to face. But I
Mhm.
guess like trying to coach a team right now, has it been like a relief to you? Has it been like stressful? Like how has I guess improv been for you in like
Sure.
last week or so?
Yeah. For me, improv is a way to help me feel more like myself, because there's so much in my spirit that's connected to like joy and happiness that
Mhm.
uh when I was brokenhearted a while ago, I like just depressed and like really sad. When I was back in Des Moines, like getting on stage was one of the only things for that hour that actually made me feel like myself again.
Mhm.
And so I would be, sad and like heartbroken leading up to the show, be able to do the show fine, and then
Yeah,
at the end, go back home and be like sad again. But
yeah,
in that little bit, it helped to remind me of like who I was, and what my spirit actually was, um, and help me gain perspective in that sense of like not all hope is lost kind of thing. And I think improv for me just generally does do that. So I I wouldn't say it's a relief, um, but like I it hasn't been a struggle. Put it
yeah.
that. It's been like it's been the one of the like anchors to kind of, I
Mhm.
guess, help me get through whatever I'm processing and feeling. But what about you? You're not. Are you? What are you
I
doing?
mean, well, pretty much it's just on. I've done like the jams on the weekends,
Yeah.
like do special shows, and yeah, well, I mean, it was the idea of the Zoom thing is it it's awkward enough, but I kind of like gave accepted how it is.
Mhm.
But I'll just say, well, during in the standard madness that was going on, considering stuck in the house,
Yeah.
was one thing. Then since my wife is pregnant, uh I guess I've been overly cautious. So I don't want to get anybody sick.
Yeah.
But then when you come into like the added stress of the fact that uh racism won't be defeated even in a pandemic, it's
Yeah.
been I guess it's been like layers of stress essentially. Uh because you're already so much already going on in my head.
Mhm.
Then the fact that now it's like it's a constant reminder of, I guess, what it is, and
Yeah.
the fact that this is the reality. This is my father's reality. This is my reality, and
Mhm.
now I guess the mega brain knowing that my son will be born into the exact same,
Yeah.
and and uh and given when I would be on those extremely silly Zoom prof calls, you're right. It is like a moment of a relief,
Mhm.
but at least before you like to leave the theater, the drive home, hang out for a while.
Right?
But now, like you close as soon as you stop the computer and your feed, like you're right back to
You're right back. Mhm.
yeah,
Uh, there's no dissipation at
yeah,
all, right? There's no like, yeah. It was like it's interesting because everybody's processing in different ways, and we're processing the virus, and now we're processing all this, and it's and part of me is like, I'm doing okay, I'm doing all right, and then yesterday I was I was washing my face and I just broke down in tears, like I just started
oh,
crying for like for no reason of like I was thinking of X that led to Y and now I'm
yeah,
crying. It was literally just like crying it out. And so um I just kind of let it happen. I'm like, well, I guess this is a surprise like a surprise
yeah,
processing of all the stuff that's going on. I just kind of let it be what it was. But um yeah, I mean there's just so much that we're processing, I think, as human beings, that it comes out in really weird ways. And we have to remember that that for ourselves, to be kind of kind to ourselves, that if we can't think or we're feeling you know not creative or whatever, that it is okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I know how you're doing, Cam. I told you how I'm feeling. So
Mm.
we can bring Hank on so we can hear what he's feeling. Uh, newly appointed member of I guess man of responsibility of Big. You guys a big grant.
Yeah,
Hank,
yeah.
that that was one bright spot for I guess the theater, but I guess outside of being the excellent I guess writer you are to get us the money, how you've been feeling just in general about I guess this past week or so.
Yeah, I mean, just listening to what the two of you were talking about, my feelings have been just so similar too. Like Kim, like you were saying, for me, like between being, like my work, I'm very, very serious. I'm a parent, have to be serious when you're doing that, and like improv has been my like release where I can be, silly, I can have fun, I can be with my friends, and not having that during the pandemic itself was already kind of tough. Of course, I was doing doing the Zoom Prov, doing practices and things with my team, but not having that definitely has been just tough. Not having that release, and then with just like the recent events, like with the murder, it was I went through so many stages because first, honestly, I'll say like I felt desensitized. Like it happened again. Like I wasn't really talking about it. I wasn't really saying anything to on social media to friends. It just it was a situation where like I'm sick of seeing
Yeah,
black bodies.
yeah it's numbing. It's numbing.
I'm sick of seeing black bodies on the news, on social media. It's a situation where it's like, okay, again, but what's going to happen? What's going to change with this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like slowly, for whatever reason, this one just kind of stuck around a little longer. And I don't know if I can say that I'm truly hopeful that there's going to be true change or that people are really, really awakening from it. But at least I have seen some people that are at least having the dialogue that I wasn't expecting to have the dialogue or to express feelings with these with the situation right now. To me, I just feel like it's so basic what people are upset about. Like, we finally got the arrest or charges brought up on the other police officers, but like, could we just have the simple thing that if somebody is murdered, that whether or not you're a police officer, whether you're because if it's me, if I murder somebody, I go to jail, I get arrested. Maybe if there's extenuating circumstances, I'm released. We'll have a fair trial. But the fact that police officers for centuries have been killing Black people and just getting away with it and being protected is just ridiculous to me. And I feel like we've been in this constant situation where everybody wants to water everything down. Everybody wants to, if you say Black Lives Matter, people want to debate, no, all lives matter. But that's not what's going on right now. And it's okay for us to say this is a situation and we need to protect these people. People are quick to protect the police officers, but who's protecting the person that's actually dead? Who's looking out for their families? Who's and for me, also as a parent, I had to have a conversation with my daughter, because she's now on social media and things like that, and just trying to explain to her, like, hey, sweetheart, I don't know what the information that you're seeing is, but like, this is what happens. And, it's sad. I know that you kind of live in this bubble. You might think that this is like worlds away, but like Daddy has been a victim of, police brutality before. Like I've been in situations where, I've had a cop pull a gun on me, threaten to blow my head off for nothing, for absolutely nothing. So it's like, this can happen at any time. So it's important and it's a tough situation. I have to tell my daughter that. My son's, he's 6, he's a little younger, he doesn't quite get it, but like, dude, like he's 6 years old and he's going to grow up to be a threat in this world just because of, who he is.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, how old is your daughter now?
She's 12.
12. Okay. So 13. When you, I guess, engage that conversation with her, like, do you like, are you just like kind of upfront about it, or do you try to like, I guess, keep like soft around the edges? Like, how do you engage your daughter, knowing that she can see the same that you can on her phone?
Yeah, I mean, one, like, we asked her not to look at the video because, again, I don't think it's beneficial to see somebody murdered. But whatever, she's 12, so it's not going to shock me if she did look at the video. But yeah, at this point, you can't really soften it too much. You have to be blunt and be honest with, hey, this is what's going on in the world, right or wrong, whether or not you are, the best, most respectable person in the world, like these things can still happen to you. So there are systematic things that we need to change throughout this entire society before we're able to truly be safe, just because of what color we were born.
And it's tricky too, because if you soften the edges, that potentially puts her at risk, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, do I completely take the innocence away and shove this person into the real world right now, or do I soften it and then potentially put her in a dangerous situation because she doesn't actually understand the danger that she's in? Or do we keep that, I mean, she's 12, so I don't think there's any way you can keep that bubble around, but I'm thinking about your son being 6 and like, what age do you do that? And children's innocence is so precious, even like in all circumstances, right? But particularly for Black children, it's just heart crushing to do that. So I can understand a sense of wanting to protect, but also like I'm actually protecting my child by giving them the full truth.
Yeah, and this whole thing to me really has just been like exhausting. Like I don't feel like I've been myself for a little while now, just because it just weighs on you. You know, I just feel like there's just so much extra weight, and you just feel you know, we were saying that earlier when we were like, how you doing? It's just like, yeah, that's really how like the entire day is. And you know, things like creativity, things like, you know, being excited about some of the things I'm normally excited about. It's hard to be there and be fully engaged in things when you just look at the world around you and you're just like, God, like, is there any way to fix this? You know?
Yeah. I mean, I understand like that. I mean, I'm drained, but I mean, you're in the house with 2 kids. So I'm sure you're already tired, and got a brew too. So I guess like, are the things that you kind of like try to do as a family to at least cut some of the tension that's around you, or do you just kind of feel the whole family is kind of just on like a lower register right now?
Yeah, I think we try to protect them from being from feeling it as much. So it's kind of you try to keep them busy doing their things. I mean, they're still in school and things like that. So yeah, you try to keep them away from it. But yeah, I'm sure they feel it. Kids are empathetic. They can feel.
Yeah. Yeah, Disney Plus couldn't last too long, I guess. Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what, Hank? I'm happy to see you.
Yeah.
I enjoy performing with you much more than this. I would love to chop it up over tastemakers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna force what we have. Like I said, once again, happy to see you. Happy that you look good. You still repping Maryland.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you guys. I appreciate just the time to talk to you guys and
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, appreciate you, Hank. So yeah, want to see Hank off and have a next guest who, you know, her endorphins are up. She got things working out. She gonna lay it down for us right now, Tashika. Inviting her to speak her mind.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah. So, how are you doing, Tashika?
I'm good. It's good. I'm good. I am good. It's good to see you all, even though it's through a computerized screen.
Mm-hmm.
Still good to see your faces.
Yeah, making the most of it. Well, Tashika, knowing you're someone who, as soon as I met you, there was a certain energy that radiated from you. So, I was actually, it was a Cali Dope show. You were a fan immediately.
Immediately.
I was very happy that someone enjoyed what I do on stage so much. So before we get into anything, I would tell you that I've always appreciated you. That you weren't afraid to show your appreciation for what I do on the stage. But unfortunately now, like I said, we're on the screen, and we already aren't on the stage for health reasons. But now, unfortunately, while we're stuck in the house, we had to be constantly reminded that we're Black and what that means in America. And so, how have you been trying to keep your sanity while you're stuck in the house?
First, I just want to pay homage to Casually Dope, because it is hard to impress my daughter. I have a 25-year-old, and the first show she saw of Casually Dope, she was like, favorite. I love them, like everything. She talked about the thing you all did about Caucasian emotions for like weeks. It was so funny to her. So I just appreciate her being able to see herself on the stage and know that she could do something that Black people aren't typically a part of. I am probably one of the few people who isn't affected by being at home, because I have curated a home where I've done things to my home where I was like, one day I'm going to enjoy laying on this couch, or one day I'm going to enjoy laying in my bed and just looking at my TV. And so once we got the green light that we were going to work from home during the pandemic, I was in heaven. You know, I take the MARC train to and from to get to work, to get from Baltimore to DC. And so to be able to stop that, you know, I catch a train that leaves at 7:00 in the morning. I don't get home to 6:30. You know, there were days I was coming to Big, and so I may not get home until 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And to be able to be home, you know, with my daughter, and we're cooking, and, you know, we're looking at all of our shows. I'm still working. I'm still keeping active, because I wanted to be on Broadway at one point, right? So at any given point, I will bust out into song. Like, there's nothing for me to bust out into song and dance around the house. So when I hear that people are uncomfortable in that setting, you know, my heart breaks for them. I think that's the one point where I take a pause and I just, you know, pray for them that they will find something that will take their mind off the current situation. It is then difficult to, like Hank said, to be in this space and then see another African American lose their life, right? And I've been watching this, like you said, we get numb to it, because I've been watching this since Amadou Diallo and Sean Bell and Rodney King, and, you know, those were hard pills to swallow. I was in high school when the Rodney King verdict came down, and so we were all shocked because we saw the video.
Yeah.
And just having that conversation with my daughter, she was like, watching the video, I brought up the video. She was like, but you can see what they're doing. And they still found them not guilty. I said, I know, strange times, right? And I was like, it's been repeating itself. And you do become desensitized to it. And this time around, I am looking for strategic change. You know, I like the protests. We have people's attention. And my thought for the last couple of days has been, now what? What are we going to say? What are we going to do? Where's the agenda so that we can change things? People have said that 2020 has been a fucked up year, but I think 2020 has been about change. Like, we can't keep doing things the way we were doing them before. We have to figure out a way to do something different. And it's just not working. There has to be police oversight. You know, like you all have said, police officers been doing this since they were known as overseers on the plantation. So this is not anything new. It's just that we have kind of adjusted to what they do decade after decade instead of making change. And you just want to see that. But I honestly, in a great mental space. Y'all know I love the Lord, so and I haven't missed that. Every Sunday we do wine down Sundays. We're drinking wine. I have my charcuterie board out, and we're eating all kind of dried meat. That's why I got to work out. Okay.
I understand.
And congratulations on the baby, Jason. That is so exciting. I make a great godmother, by the way. I give a great There's a contest, I'm in it. So yeah, this was really good to be able to talk it out. But I just hope that for however long we're in this space, and I think that 2020 is going to look like this until December. We may not see an adjustment until sometime in 2021. But I pray that people are able to kind of find a new normal that they are comfortable with and reconnect with the things that they thought they had lost, whether it's friends or lost art. Like, I'm doing puzzles and coloring and crocheting. I'm everywhere. I'm up and downstairs, probably getting on my daughter's nerves, and I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you about that, because you get on your daughter's nerves. So, so how has your energy been like contagious? So has she been okay during being quarantined and then having to see over and over again the police brutality, or have you two, I guess, been able to be each other's, I guess, crutches and then kind of just overcome all this?
Yeah, we do what I call every morning a debrief. And so she comes in my room, and for about however long that she needs, we talk. And so yesterday she told me she had taken down all of her social media accounts. And I was like, well, why'd you do that? She said, well, it's just so overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And so this morning when she came into my room, she said, well, I decided to reactivate it. She said, because I felt like I needed to stay informed, even if some of the information is repetitive. And she said, you know, I consider you my personal Google. So I like to come and say, well, mommy, what do you think about this? Well, mommy, is this true? And so we just have those conversations, because even as a Black female, you know, I have to tell her how to interact with the police. I mean, I've had my experience with, you know, police brutality, having a gun drawn on me. It was a complete misunderstanding, but they were treating me like I was a murderer. And having to share that story with her, you know, and how we should interact, even with white people, you know, and I tell her, I said, if you are, don't let, because, you know, I got a couple of inboxes from some friends. I don't know if I call them friends, but associates.
Yeah, okay.
Who were checking on me. And I thought it was weird. Like, I was like, I get it, but you didn't check on me 2 weeks ago, right? There was one who has been consistent in checking in with me, but the rest of them, it just felt like I need to check something off on the list. And so I told her, I said, you know, I don't want you to think that if somebody approaches you or somebody that you know that's white, that they feel like they have to, you know, embrace you. Like, keep the same energy, be who you are. I appreciate people who own who they are and stand on what they believe, whether I agree with it or not. And that's what I teach in this house. And so that's how we kind of balance it out. Like, I think she enjoys being here. We go to Target every Saturday. That's our weekly outing.
Yeah.
And she enjoys that time. Like, she don't want nobody calling me, because this is mommy and daughter time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's been good. It's been good.
Yeah.
So this is great. This is a great platform. I didn't know quite what to expect.
Yeah.
I didn't know what topics we were going to cover or
Yeah.
how the setup was.
Well, I mean, when it was opened up to us, I mean, I just thought that it would probably be best for, if it was open to us, open up to everybody. And
Right.
if you just need, and whether it's just you need time to vent or just speak to, I guess, other Black people that aren't in your house.
Right.
Because it's as much as hard as it is, there's something someone that you can just relate to without having to explain how you got to that point.
Right.
Belief. And that's why if you wanted to, like, and I also want to let people speak their mind any way they wanted to.
Yeah, this is a nice setting. This is good. I just want people to know, even outside of this. Like, yesterday, somebody posted, they waited until late at night. They were trying to be sneaky.
Of course.
And this girl posted Blue Lives Matter. She posted a blue square and Blue Lives Matter. And so somebody asked her, it was like, well, she's like, well, I believe that all lives matter, but I want to highlight that, you know, police officers have lost their lives or have been attacked during the riots. And so they said, well, if you believe that all lives matter, why wouldn't you post Black Lives Matter? And she said, well, I'm an American and we have a right to choose. And I said, well, it wouldn't have diminished your support for the police by you saying Black Lives Matter, because you can do the same thing at the same time. You know that, right? And so she took her page down, because she started losing followers, and then she took her page down. And I was just like, but you believed in that. Like, you said, I want this. Like, why would you take your page down? Stand on it.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting time in the next 6 months, right? When it's not, like, when it's not trending, when it's not in the national, like, when it's not in even the international eye anymore. And I'm hopeful that what we can do now is to start really anchoring down and finding solutions to everything, and really just dismantling everything and rebuilding it back up. But, you know, it's like a double-edged sword, because it's been so trendy to be woke, right?
Right.
Before this even happened, it's been so trendy. I'm for all kind of rights, blah, blah, blah. The cancel culture, like all that kind of stuff. But here is the moment in time for you to prove it from for action, not just like getting on board, going to the protest, donate, like all that is great, but I feel like those who are like jumping on the bandwagon, so to speak, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I think also that it's awesome that maybe there are people waking up and being like, oh, this is really messed up. Like for the first time seeing the issue at hand, and maybe genuinely waking up and feeling helpless and not knowing where to turn, not knowing how to do it, like what to do next. But it's time for those people to really have a look inside themselves and be like, okay, I'm feeling this passion, I want to like help, and but it's a freaking lifetime thing, it's not just now, it's not just a week from now, it's not even 6 months from now. It is something that you and people work for a lifetime. So like it's so we're in an interesting time where the wokeness has created this uproar and this revolution, and the need to feel, for whatever their reasons are, but the need to feel trendy and cool, and get their likes and get all that stuff. That has helped highlight the situation, helped spark a flame. But on the other side, it's like now we have to wait and see whether they, there's action behind their words, and we can't know that until months from now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And if people, I want the white people to understand that if that's not who you are, don't fake it, because we'll know if you're faking it.
Yeah.
If you don't really, if you cares what's in your world, then care about that, and let be very upfront about that, because I'll know how to deal with you. Don't come and feel like you said, you following a movement for the time, because we got to do this Black thing every day, whether we want to or not. So, if that's who you don't want to be a part of it, own that, because that's a lot of work to change what's innately in you and has been there for a long time. And a lot of people don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
And commitment begins where excitement ends. And so right now it's like it's exciting to put up Black Lives Matter. But I want to see the people do the work. And I know some that will, but it's a lot that's not. They're not going to stick with it. And I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Commitment.
But be cool knowing that I'm going to put my in your face.
Commitment begins where excitement ends.
I love that.
And white people, Tashika, know if you lying. I think that's a great way to end this part. It's been a great time, Tashika. I'm very happy you were part of this.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Well, we got some words of wisdom from our last guest. So
her energy and her spirit's just so
it's awesome. So let's see our next guest. Let's see what Harold has to say. I'm very curious to see what another Maryland graduate has to say about the time when he logs on. Harold.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Hey, there you go.
What's up? Stunned on the balcony. So I'm
it.
I'm happy to see, despite everything happening, you still managed to stunt on us.
Something like that. Something like that.
Yeah.
What's going on with y'all?
Well, you just trying maintaining despite it all. But I mean, we kind of spoke our mind about this. How have you been? How have you I guess adjusted to the times of Corona?
For me, it's not that difficult of a change, because even though like I'm extroverted, right? I do comedy and stuff like that. like I got a lot of introverted tendencies in me. So I don't mind like being home and sitting in place and just filling up my time. Like, I work during the day or read at night, write stuff. I might go outside, run. Every now and then when I feel like I need to get away, I'll just get in the car and just drive around. So I mean, it is an adjustment still because, I'm used to my schedule of going to the theater for rehearsals and shows and just being able to go wherever I want. And now that I can't, I mean, it's tough, but it's not that bad for me actually. So I'm making it work.
Yeah. I mean, well, I've actually found that I'm much more introverted than I thought I was. And that may have explained other things in my life. But well, I guess, and not to, I guess, circle back to I guess a heavier topic, but considering all of the protests, whether it be in Minneapolis, where we performed at before, so we know people that are in there,
That's true.
in the area, and
right.
then how, I guess, knowing what happened in Baltimore in 2015, and seeing how the same things repeating themselves. How have you, I guess, what's your perspective on like the current climate in the country?
It's wild times, right? But it's always been wild times. It's still disheartening to know that even in 2020, that just because the color of your skin, people judge you so harshly. Some people think that you shouldn't have life. Some people compare you to monkeys and so on and so forth. So it's frustrating, right? And just knowing that because of the color of my skin, even though you never had a conversation with me, right? You don't know my educational background. You don't know that I don't have anything on my criminal record, but yet you still look at me as like I'm nothing. That part, to me, that's idiotic to me. The fact that you could just judge a person just solely on skin color and nothing else, like let alone like you don't even want to take the time to have a conversation. So then when you see another Black person lose their life, right? Because we've been losing our lives for hundreds of years now, right? And unfortunately, George Floyd is the latest. And the manner in which he died, right? Because he had the knee on his neck for like 8 minutes and some change, close to 9 minutes. It was just so like disheartening to see. I've gone through like a gamut of emotions, right? I've been furious, I've been sad, like everything in between. I felt those emotions. And for me, it's just like it's like, all right, what's next, right? Like I'm down for the protests. I protested when Freddie Gray happened here back in 2015. I would have went to the protest a couple days ago, but I started a new job and I just can't leave out on meetings, while I'm in my probationary period. I reached out to the people that were down there protesting and everything like that. So now, like, I want the protests to continue as long as, they stay peaceful. But I'm also about, all right, so what's the new plan of action? What's next? And how can we have like real change come about? And for me, it's something about this time that feels slightly different from previous times, right? I don't know what it is, but it feels slightly different. Like anytime like Nickelodeon pauses their channel for like 8 minutes and change, the same amount of time that the knee was on George Floyd's neck to put out a PSA, right? And other people that you wouldn't even expect to say anything are now saying stuff. Like it just feels different, a little different, not big different, but a little different this time.
I mean, Ben and Jerry's coming out as hard as they did was well, it's surprising, but it even though all they do was make ice cream,
right?
They took a stance.
Definitely.
And yeah, now unfortunately, Drew Brees didn't, but
man,
that's another.
I mean, well, what? I mean, I don't see how people are still equating Kaepernick taking a knee, he made his intentions clear on why he was taking that knee, right?
Yeah.
It had nothing to do about disrespecting the flag. It had nothing to do about the military. But yet the narrative always comes back to disrespecting the flag and disrespecting the troops. And Drew Brees should know by now that that is not the case. It's been said numerous times the reason why he took a knee and why other NFL athletes took a knee, why other NBA players and other sporting people took knees or wore shirts, whatever the case may be. But somehow it always comes back to disrespecting the flag and disrespecting the military. And I don't understand how that works.
Yeah. It's trash. No.
I don't get it.
But I mean, well, I know not to, I guess, keep trying to harp on the next generation, but I know how close you are with your nephew and everything.
Definitely.
Yeah, and so he's so I mean, so has he been? I guess has he been exposed to any of this? Does he know that? I guess. What's like why they're protests on TV? Are you able to explain that to him? Do you have this kind of say like they're good people and bad people? How are you handling that situation?
I kid you not, for like a few years now, because he just turned 7, maybe like around when he was like 4, maybe closer to 5. Like we would see like police officers, like when we would hang out, like I'd take him to the barbershop or we'd go play basketball, go to the playground, whatever the case may be. And sometimes he would legit ask me like, "Hey, uncle, are they gonna kill me?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, like no, right?" So for him to be 7, he's very intelligent, right? And he knows what's going on. And it's sad to know that as like, you can't even be innocent at like 7, right? The time where you're not even supposed to worry about any of this stuff. Like if you see a police officer, like when you're a kid, that's a job you aspire to be, right? Like people say, like, I want to be a police officer, I want to be a firefighter, so on and so forth. But in his mind, he has to tap me every now and then and say, "Hey, uncle, are they gonna kill me?" And that's a true story. Like I'm not making that up. Like that is real facts. And it makes me nervous because he's a good kid, you know. He's just a regular average kid, likes to play sports, does well in school, you know. Sometimes he acts up, you know, uncle gotta get him. You know, uncle gotta get him. But just knowing that he's afraid at 7 years old, and it's not, unless things change, it's only gonna get worse as he gets older, right?
Yeah.
That to me is I don't know how to put that into words.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't tell him like, "Hey, go to college," right? Like if you get an education, you'll be fine. And that shouldn't even be a thing. Like you should just, you know, be judged off of your character, right?
Yeah.
But you know, his uncle went to school. I went to Maryland, you know, like you mentioned. Shout out to Hank, and also shout out to AJ who's coming on after me. And I remember seeing my friends who threw a party get beat up by cops. They come rush the party. We have to come out holding our IDs in our hands with guns drawn as we coming down steps of an apartment building. You get outside and you see the whole street was lined up with marked and unmarked vehicles. And it's wild. Like we were in college. Like we were there for an education, having a party just like everybody else does, right? You see the white kids on frat row, outside partying, drinking, doing all that. But the moment that we like to gather and have relief, you know, some release because school's hard.
Yeah.
They come crashing down on our parties. And it was, man.
Yeah. I mean, I strolled down Knox Road a few times and
they out there.
Yeah. And it was never not a cop in sight.
They didn't care. Like, I mean, they see them partying, it's just like, oh hey, have fun. They see us partying, it's like, what are they up to?
Yeah.
Respect. And then on top of that, like to finish that off, the school newspaper ran a story about the events that happened, fabricated the numbers of people that were there at the party, and then interviewed my friends after the fact because they ended up getting arrested. They were released, whatever. But when they got released, it was late at night, so they were preparing to go to bed. So they just had on undershirts or whatever. A couple of them had tattoos. And they took pictures of them, you know, with the undershirts and the tattoos out, and then put in like full bios about them saying how they grew up in the foster care system and this, that, and the other. So like in the comment section online, you seen all the races come out, right? Like they were just coming out of the woodworks. That's what happens when you give them a chance and so on and so forth. But these are the same people that come game day, right? Football, basketball, they standing right beside me, cheering, high-fiving me, like, "Go Turks."
Yeah.
When it's convenient.
Yeah. It's about who controls the narrative, really, right? It's and this is why this subject is so complicated because, you know, even with something that Tashika was saying as well, like it's about what whoever's in control of the media, whoever's in control of our conscious culture. It is about them controlling the narrative, what they're putting through, what their story is, and how. And I think we don't, know, and I don't think like white people really know how much of that they're soaking in and just internalizing and just like instinctively believing to be true. And there's so many layers to this, but that's one of those things that have to change, that have to be intentionally changed, is the adverts on TV, is who's what in movies, is like makeup, stamp. Like I can't, for the darker skinned kids in my place that I work at, the little gym, I cannot get stamps that like show up on their skin color. It's nuts, and I hate it because I'm like, oh, it's right there it is, and you can't see it. And I shouldn't have to like go to a special place to look to try. It should just be there. It should just be there. And that's why I think sometimes it feels so overwhelming, because you got you got the police problem, but then you also have media, you have news, you have movies, you have television, you've got you've got stamps, you've got color markers, right? Like it's big, it's huge.
And is why, and going back to what you were saying about like, controlling our own stories and the media and stuff like that. Like, that's one of the reasons why I'm glad social media is about, right? Social media can have its negative effects, right? But in these moments where you can like record in real time, like what's happening, right? You can record in real time, like police and rogue protesters breaking windows, trying to blame others for it, right? In which before you couldn't even, you wouldn't even know what's happening, right? Your whole news source was what you saw on the actual TV news, right? And they could cut off video here, they can edit stuff there, they can do different things. But now people with camera phones and smartphones can say, nah, like, look, this is what's really happening. Now, if you still don't believe it after you see it, that's on you, right? Because some people still make up an excuse or see what it is that they want to see. But at least now we had the opportunity to actually like put that stuff out there so it can be seen. And it's up to the viewer to determine like whether they believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we agree, and we see he was already starting on the deck, but now the mood lighting is jumping off.
Yeah.
Now I'm about to turn on the real light. It got dark fast. Like it caught me slipping. So I had my cell phone camera, trying to make it look sexy.
Yeah. Well. With or without moonlight, now we appreciate you coming on. As a pleasure whenever I get a chance to.
All right.
I can't wait till we can get out of this and date again, hang out again. All right.
You already know, casually dope for life. Gang. Holla.
All right, man. Right. Well, now that it's the last of our interviews, definitely not the least of our interviews. We have AJ Mccombs coming up next. Another University of Maryland graduate. That wasn't intentional, but
hey everybody.
Hey.
What's up? I mean, is your camera on right now? We can hear you. I can't see you.
Oh, you can't see me? I thought I had it on. Okay.
I
can see you too.
Yeah, see you now. Well, thank you for joining us this evening, AJ.
Oh, happy to be here.
So, being I'm curious. I know that you worked as a reporter for some time. Do you have any strong opinions about, I guess, how the media, how I guess these stories are being reported, or how the narrative is being formed?
Oh, oh boy. Oh boy, that's a weighty question. So yeah, I think like it's been now getting close to 6 years since I've been a reporter or actively been a reporter. I will say this, at least talking about the news media, I'm always one to defend like papers and out there, because a lot of times you have folks who are doing a lot of work with little pay and taking pretty much crap from everybody on both sides.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's also hard to deny the fact, and like in journalism knows, is that like the overwhelming number of people who are telling these stories tend to be white, or tend to be non-black, tend to be most newsrooms, at least across the country, and now they're a lot smaller because of cutbacks, but they're not people of color, they're not black, they're not, and particularly when you talk about the editors and leaders of them, not as much. And you see that I feel like some ways you see that reflected. Yeah. In terms of the sensitivity and things like that. But yeah. I was sorry. It's such a tricky question for me to answer, just because there's so many layers to that in terms of like both my thoughts and feelings looking back on journalism, and also just like the fact that like there's also part of me that wants to like almost be defensive about it a bit, just because it's a hard job as well.
Well, maybe not, I guess, as a journalist, but I guess just you as a person right now. How have you, I guess, made adjustments? How have you, I guess, how have you dealt with taking all this information of the past week? What has your life been like, I guess, for the past week or so?
It's okay. This is a weird thing to say, and I don't want to diminish anything in terms of what I was hit a lot more by Aubrey, to be honest.
Okay.
As you know, it's probably a lot of people. I don't know. Well, Kim, actually, probably you have seen me also. I've been an active runner for about a decade or so. And so when that happened, when he was killed, or basically by a bunch of rednecks for nothing more than basically visiting at home under construction, or I don't even know if they knew that at the time, just because he was in the area where they felt he did not have a right to be there. That struck me. In part because that's something I live. That kind of fear is something I live with and I feel all the time. Well, it's funny, not feel all the time. Like, I realize I've incorporated a lot into my life. Like, if, for example, when we go to festivals, things like that, and I usually will go out and run around the neighborhood. If you've ever seen me when I load up my gear or start putting on my stuff, I look like an idiot. I have like the brightest colored neon shirt. I have a bright yellow hat, or neon hat. I don't do it as much as often now because I can't find the thing, but I used to wear a running belt as well. And all of that is primarily not because I'm so much worried about like a car. It's because I was trying to tell white people around me that, okay, I'm just a runner. I'm not going to try and steal your purse.
Yeah.
And even then, like the number of times like running around the Inner Harbor, running around this area where I've seen people like cross the street, like grab their children and cross their street completely for me. It's like, oh, okay. And going back to why Aubrey really hit me, at least personally, like I've started like trying to train for like some longer runs recently, like ultra marathons, things like that. And the nature of doing that, because I'm a slow runner, I will often head out like I was trying to head out like earlier in the morning, like around 4:30 or 5 when it was dark out. And I remember when that happened, like I just stopped doing that and started going back to like my usual time, like when the sun was out.
I mean, 'cause I understand, even though I guess I don't run as much as I would like to now, but buying brighter clothes just to almost indicate that you wouldn't think I'm doing anything untowards anybody because I'm wearing a neon green shirt, or I have one of these bright colored shorts, and then almost make it a point not to match, or like,
oh yeah, I'll go out with like a bright orange shirt and like red pants or red shorts, just because like obviously want to look as like ridiculous, and it hopefully makes other people feel, or primarily white people feel, safe around me.
And then if I have like something black that's on, I'll limit it to one thing.
Yep, it's funny you mentioned that. Like, I literally thought around the time that happened with Aubrey that like I have, and depending on how if you're a runner or have ever done this, like there's a race, or the Maryland Half Marathon like 10 years ago had the premium they gave away for it was a black shirt, basically saying half marathon finisher. And I think it was my first half marathon, and at the time the longest distance I'd ever done. And I remember thinking around the time, Aubrey, that like I barely wear that shirt because it is black, and I didn't want to make other people well, basically, yeah, I didn't want to make people uncomfortable or have them think I was going to rob them or something like that. And the shirts I tend to use to wear the most, going with what you just said, is like I have a bright yellow one that are bright orange or something like that, which I wear all the time because it is the most ridiculous one I have. Yeah, and it's the most standout one. So that one really struck me, and also just like because like I also, when I'm running, like I'll go explore like all the freaking time. Like if they tear down a building, if there's something like construction, I'll go wander by. My run times in part are horrible because I will do that, and just the fact that I mean, presuming that's part of the reason what they saw him do that, or it may not have even been.
Yeah,
that stuck with me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sometimes it's just the unfortunate thing that you have to deal with that has become normal to you that other people don't. And then I mean, speaking of, like, I know Kim runs, and I'm sure there are she has a thing about how she dresses when she runs because creeps and
Yeah,
everything.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's so unfortunate that there are so many that there are all these like layers and obstacles that you gotta get over just to go for a run.
Yeah. It's so interesting because it's the woman's experience. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's so crazy to me that you know that's your experience
Yeah.
too. And I mean, it obviously makes sense, but I'm just kind of like, oh, that's like exactly the feelings, and exactly like you're running and you're looking out, you're constantly, you can never fully switch off.
Yeah.
You're just constantly looking around, judging, making, well, for me it's just making sure like nobody's gonna come get me and murder me or
Yeah.
something. Well, I guess same thing, right? But
Yeah.
you're constantly monitoring, so you can never, especially on runs and stuff, you can never switch off. And you just don't know what kind of toll that takes on your mental health and your stress level, your anxiety level, because it becomes so innate that this is just what you do to run.
Yeah, and that's like going back to Aubrey. That's why that one really kind of for me, because I realized like how many things I had just all incorporated into my life and didn't even really notice it, that was the reason why I did it. Like I said, like
Mm.
realizing that the black half marathon jersey, that's the one I wear the least because of the fact it's black, and because it would make me appear darker, or basically would not make me as easily recognizable and make other people feel more comfortable.
Mhm.
And that was just incorporated into my thinking.
Yeah. Are you what are you training for?
This is total segue, but ideally the JFK 50 miler, but
Oh,
like,
nice.
yes, I'd love to do it, but it's still unclear whether or not it will happen.
When is it
And
to be?
November.
Okay.
Well,
So,
I'm curious. So how many miles are you like logging in a week?
so right now I'm doing around 43, and I'm starting to ramp up. So eventually it should round up with me doing about 70 miles per hour. 70 miles. Yeah.
Uh,
70 miles a week. Yeah.
Wow. But like you said, that's a long stretch of road, those
Yep.
long runs. Like if you think about your long runs being like 20 miles, even if it's an out and back, I
Yep.
mean, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and I know you met. Well, even though I don't, when I was, I guess, really running, then when you're in the harbor, it's the one thing that can really turn a moment of just like, you know what, I'm here. It's on the water. I see some ducks. Is when
Fucking
you look
ducks.
up
Fucking
and
ducks.
then you see a woman that's like maybe like 50 yards in front of you, kind of look at you and grab her purse.
Yep.
Was like, ma'am, I'm sweating. I have on shorts, like running shoes that are like neon green. Do
Yep.
you really think I'm going to try to snatch your purse in the middle of in a harbor right now?
Yep. I was doing this train and run just for this opportunity.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought I'd turn this into like Mario Kart. That's gonna be my power up on the way back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Alan, I wish you the best on your training for the JFK. Even if you don't get to actually run it, I pray that you are safe in your neon green hats, pullovers, hoodies, running shoes, running shorts. Like I said, even though you can be one of the most annoying people to be on stage with,
Accurate.
I enjoy it a lot. It sucks that we can't perform together anymore. As I say, it's always a pleasure to be on stage with you.
Oh, it's a pleasure talking to you guys right now, and thank you very much for leading this conversation. It's been, as someone who's been listening in and commenting along, it's been great to hear, and you guys have definitely brought up some things. I was like, oh yeah, I felt that too. Oh yeah, I haven't even thought about that in years. So, yeah, thank you guys for giving this space.
Cool. Thank you. Well, Kim, after that, how do you feel?
First of all, I think you did a great job moderating this thing. Great, like, just questions, and thank you for taking the lead, because you did an amazing job. I feel, I don't know. I feel okay. It is so. It's weird to say the word nice, but it is really nice to hear from everybody, see everybody again, hear their stories, and it makes me sad at the same. It makes me sad at the same time, because I love everybody here. I love y'all, and not that it's surprising that these things are happening, but it just makes me sad a little bit.
I mean,
Yeah.
Like I said, it was good to talk to everybody, hear people's voices, see people's faces, but it sucks because, like, us, the underlying reason we're doing it is still there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy we were able to do this. I'm happy that we had this the time and the platform to do it.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. But so it's been about an hour, and no need to, I guess, be sad about anything more. We can all veg out and watch our 11th Netflix show we've already finished.
Yep.
So this has been Getting Biggie with it. Your regular host will be back next week, and we'll be watching, but we won't be speaking. So great time.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, everybody.
Thank everybody for coming out. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.